What's up, guys? It's Jade back here for a brand new Teen Wolf video, and in today's video we are going to be redoing the Teen Wolf Explained series. Now, if you are unfamiliar with what my Teen Wolf Explained series is, it was a series I started in 2019 where I basically went over and did a general overview, although at first when I originally did the original series it was a in-depth breakdown of each character in Teen Wolf. But we're going to be rebooting that series because a lot of the older videos, although I do still have them on the channel, they are privated, you guys can't see them. I kind of just felt like I wanted to do more like generalizations of characters rather than super in-depth breakdowns. Let's get into it. So today we're going to be starting with Scott McCall, of course the main character of MTV's Teen Wolf. So yeah, let's hop into Scott. Scott McCall is the main protagonist of the MTV series Teen Wolf. He is loosely based on Scott Howard, the protagonist of the 1985 film Teen Wolf. Scott at the beginning was a kid with poor physical performance and asthma. One night his best friend Styles Stilinski tells him that the police found a dead body in the woods. He asks Scott to join him to find it. However, during the investigation, Styles was caught by the sheriff while Scott keeps going further into the woods to see the body, but somehow is attacked by a wolf. His abilities increase without realizing, and suddenly he is the captain of the lacrosse team. The same day he has his first transformation and later attempts to cure himself of lycanthropy. You guys can see that when I react to Teen Wolf Search for a Cure on the channel in November. Eventually, Scott accepts that he is a werewolf and decides to be one of the protectors of Beacon Hills. With the help of his friends and allies, he stops supernatural threats of the town, and Scott later becomes an alpha werewolf, later leads his own pack called the McCall Pack, and becomes the protector of Beacon Hills. Scott was born in 1994 to Raphael McCall, a Federal Bureau of Investigation special agent, and Melissa McCall, a nurse at Beacon Hills Memorial Hospital. At a young age, Scott was inflicted with asthma, and it became worse as he got older. One night, Scott walked in on his parents fighting, with his drunk father grabbing his wrist, but Scott pulled back, and Scott was accidentally pushed down the stairs, being knocked unconscious for 20 seconds or so. Melissa threw Ralph out of her house, with him becoming so ashamed, he left his wife and son out of grief. Though Scott spent time and moved in with his father, he eventually moved in with his mother. Raphael discontinued his contact with his family, moved to San Francisco, and spent much of his time working for the Federal Bureau of Investigations. Scott later resented his father for doing so, but eventually let it go by high school. When he was young, Scott was walking his dog when they were attacked by a rabid Doberman, causing Scott to have a severe asthma attack, but his dog died of injuries, something he repressed or was repressed by the Dread Doctors. In 2012, Scott would remember the event by reading the Dread Doctors, a tool used to see if the doctors did anything to him. Scott saw his mother work hard to raise him, and so he decided to take a job as a veterinarian technician at Dr. Alan Beaton's animal clinic. At Beacon Hills High School, he joined the lacrosse team with his best friend Styles Stilinski. Despite joining the team, the two rarely played a game due to their lack of athletic prowess. Scott was very driven with an indomitable will. He is extremely selfish. He is extremely selfless and always thinks about others before himself. His greatest fear is becoming a monster like Peter Hale, Sebastian Belay, and Deucalion. Scott was killed twice in the series and was brought back to life both times. He was killed during a sacrificial ritual early in his junior year to find the Nematon, and he was killed by his old classmate Theo Rakin during a night of a supermoon during his senior year of high school, after his beta Liam was manipulated into nearly killing him by Theo. Scott has amassed not only a fairly diverse pack of supernaturals, but also a network of supportive allies as well, all of whom proven themselves willing to risk their lives to fight for his cause as a result of his track record of beating insurmountable odds against powerful supernatural enemies and his human enemies. As he explained to Alec in the series finale, he has his main core pack members who are nearly always with him or close by: Styles, Lydia, Derek, Malia, and Liam, while many others, such as Sheriff Stilinski, Melissa McCall, Chris Argent, Jordan Parrish, and even redeemed former antagonist Peter Hale and Theo Rakin, come and go as they are needed. Scott is the alpha of the McCall Pack and works alongside his mentor Dr. Alan Deaton at the Beacon Hills Animal Clinic. He is also a member of the McCall family. Though Scott had a bout of immature teenage behavior during his first few years of high school, his time as a werewolf caused his personality to shift into one that is much more compassionate, selfless, and kind. In fact, it was in due part to his strength of will, his virtue, and his ability to retain his humanity even after becoming a werewolf that allowed him to ascend to the rare rank of True Alpha. True Alpha essentially is not even special.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
We have been hoodwinked, bamboozled, led astray, run amok, and flat out deceived.
How dare you!
FBI, open
True Alpha is just a passive way of becoming an alpha werewolf. The whole True Alpha title, it's kind of disingenuous because all Scott is just a normal alpha. Just he got there in a different, more passive, how can I put this? He got there in a way that didn't have to make him kill to get his power. That's essentially how a true alpha works in Teen Wolf, but they're not anything too special. Something that usually occurs in the werewolf world once every century at most. Scott struggled greatly in controlling his lycanthropy during his first few months after he was turned, but with time and experience, he was able to find an anchor that allowed him to remain in human form on most full moons and even super moons without involuntarily transforming. Despite all the power he wields as a true alpha, he is uncomfortable with flaunting his power over others, even to defend himself, due to the ways alphas like Peter or Deucalion forced their wills upon him while he was a beta. This characteristic was demonstrated on both Liam's first full moon and his first supermoon as a werewolf, during which Liam lost control and viciously attacked Scott, as mentioned earlier when I explained the whole Theo manipulating Liam into almost killing Scott thing, who only used the bare minimum amount of power to block his blow. So that essentially is Scott McCall in a nutshell. That's really Scott McCall's character. A general overview of Scott in Teen Wolf. If you guys want to know more, watch the series to learn more about Scott. Like I said, these videos serve as like a general overview. So if you're like a new viewer of Teen Wolf, you guys have like a general consensus of what the main character Scott McCall is like, and you guys can go watch the series based off the information you already know prior to watching it. But if you're also a long-time viewer, this is good for you guys if you haven't seen the series in a long time, so you guys get reacquainted with Scott's character. But either way, that's going to do it for the end of this first Teen Wolf character explained or Teen Wolf explained video. If you guys like the video, again, leave a like on the video. Helps this video perform better in the YouTube algorithm and get out to more Teen Wolf fans such as yourself who is watching. If you guys want to follow me on social media, all my plugs are in the description down below. My Instagram, my Twitter, my TikTok, my merch store is also down there. So is my Discord server and also my Patreon, where you guys can read my book series True Alpha. I'll put it on screen here for those of you guys who have never heard what that is. It's basically inspired by a whole bunch of different things: Underworld, Teen Wolf, or this version of Teen Wolf, the Wolfman. It's basically my original werewolf series, if you want to put it like that. So if you guys are interested in reading that, Patreon's in the description down below. You guys can click there. And without further ado, my name is Jade. I will catch you guys in the next Teen Wolf explained related video. Peace.